name is Guillermo Correa, and I'm the Director of Digital Media at SHRM, and I will be your host for today's demo. Today's demo will take about 45 minutes, after which we will answer any questions that are submitted through the QA WebEx function. So please make sure that if you have any questions to submit any of them through that function. We will also be sending an email summary of the Q&A, so don't worry if your question is not answered at the end. We will be looking at it and answering it and providing it in the summary that will be sent to you by email. The summary will also include a link to a recording of this demo because we are recording this demo. So joining me today are Sarah Reynolds and Chris Ganesha from our partner over at Salary.com. Before I turn it over to them, to get us started, I just wanted to provide you with a brief overview of the compensation data center. The CDC is very easy to get access into. It's accessible through SHRM.org through the Business Solutions category that you find under the Resources and Tools area of SHRM.org. This is a project that we've been working on for a while now, and we've greatly improved the solutions that are being provided to you now through this new partnership that we have with Salary.com. One of the key new features or offerings that the Compensation Data Center has is that SHRM members will get complimentary access to 30 HR family reports. And once again, those are going to be accessible through this link that you should be seeing right here. And there are also other single position reports that will be available to you for purchase. SHRM members will be able to purchase those at $220.50, and the price for non-members is going to be $245, and you will be able to access that by clicking this button right here, which will take you into the SHRM store. So you will be able to use your SHRM account to make the purchase and get access into them through your SHRM account. No need to create any type of a new account. Another great feature, and this is the last thing I will cover before I turn it over to Sarah and Chris, is going to be this search all job titles widget that you'll be able to find here. So for example, if you're looking for a nurse, you will be able to very easily type in a job title, click on go, and then you will get a list of all the different nurse job titles that are available in this case. This is a feature that had been requested many, many times by our members as well as anyone visiting SHRM.org. So we're very happy that we're now able to provide this for you through this partnership that we have with Salary.com. So at a very high level, this is what comprises the new SHRM Compensation Data Center. But now let me go ahead and turn it over to the Salary.com team so that you can see all the great functionalities that are available through the Salary.com compensation data platform. So give me 1 second while I switch that over to them, and then we will get going.
Awesome.
Hey, everyone. Looks like we're just going to move over here. Chris is going to get ready to show his screen. Just want to confirm that everyone can hear us here at Salary.com.
Yeah, we can hear you, Sarah.
Awesome. Thanks, Guillermo.
Great. Just confirm. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Guillermo. So a little background about myself. My name is Christopher Ganesha. I'm the Director of Product Management here over at Salary.com. Excuse me. A little background around Salary.com. We're a leading SaaS provider of cloud-based compensation market data and analytics. We deliver continually updated, reliable market pay data and compensation management software to HR and compensation practitioners. Today, we'll be showing you some benchmark data options derived from our Comp Analyst Market Data product. A little background around the methodology. In Comp Analyst Market Data, we deploy a state-of-the-art process for benchmarking and analyzing jobs. It's based on the professional industry standards employed by compensation analysts like yourselves. We purchase hundreds of commercially available surveys, and our team of compensation consultants benchmark jobs across those surveys. We then aggregate the data, reviewing and adjusting those results as necessary to produce accurate results for every job across many different scopes. We actually also use artificial intelligence and our own proprietary algorithms to help fill gaps for data points that are not typically available to make sure our clients have access to a wide breadth of data. So for example, you'd be able to price and benchmark a subway driver in rural South Dakota, for example. This is done on a monthly basis to ensure our users have access to the most up-to-date and accurate data. So this allows us the ability to maintain our 15,000 job titles across 225 unique industries and locations, and proudly now we cover 18 different countries, including the United States and Canada. So I'm going to kick it off by starting with the reports that were mentioned by Guillermo. You'll be able to access this through the SHRM compensation page, and you can purchase these individually through credits. The idea here is when you land into this experience, you'd be able to immediately determine the number of credits you've purchased. If you had purchased other reports or gone through the experience, you'd also see the other individual jobs that you've purchased in the past, and we'd give you the option to export them out using Excel and PDF options. You can also export all your reports, so if you happen to buy a number of reports, you can export them all out at once. You can also search through the individual jobs, the titles, and the families if you've purchased more than one record. And we also give you the option to purchase more credits if you wanted to continue. An example, you have no credits left or you want to buy some additional ones, this is where you would do that. I'll also point out some other key options up at the top. If you'd be interested in upgrading your subscription, definitely click the Upgrade Your Subscription button, and we'll just ask you to fill out a form, and we'll be in contact with you. For the SHRM members, you will see a link up the top for your free HR reports. You can also, if you have any individual questions, you can click this question buttons or you can log out. So I'm going to quickly run through how you can purchase, or I should say how you can get the individual job reports. First, click this available report credit link at the top, and this will bring you to a workflow that allows you to select individual jobs, pick the scopes associated with that for the benchmarking exercise, and then review your selections. It's a quick 3-part process. So here you can use our search button to search across our 15,000 unique job titles. Using this blanket search, this will search across multiple fields. So job title, job description, family, other relevant fields, and then it will stack rank the results underneath. So case in point, if you're looking for an accountant related job, type in accountant and you would see those results underneath. Also, you have filters like job family, job level, experience, education, and if that individual or that role manages people. So you can use these filters in addition to your search. Levels incorporates 2 different approaches. So if you want a broad leveling guide, something more standardized around entry, intermediate, senior, some generic levels, take a look at these options. We also have a more detailed level guide. So if you're familiar with the way that surveys traditionally organize their levels, professional and management, for example, then we kind of cascade individual job levels underneath it. There's some more detail around our leveling guides if you click this icon, and we'll provide some more detail about how you might use the detailed leveling guide. Years of experience will include a range of years from and to. but we also have incorporated jobs that don't specify a traditional years of experience. So things like, I don't know, yoga instructor or nurse practitioner, which may require certification. You might want to incorporate that specifically in the search. We also have education, and as I mentioned before, does that role manage people? So once you produce those results, in this case I produced results related to accountant, you can see the list of jobs. We organize the data with titles, levels, families, focus, which think of it as a more granular, or I should say generic breakout of family, education, and what we think is the typical FLSA status. So you can also get to the individual job descriptions by clicking these little arrow icons next to the jobs. So typical benchmark experience, you can see, oh, maybe this is the accountant 1, and I'm looking for data specific to an accountant 1. I can open up and review the individual job description. And so what's nice about our job descriptions, we break them out into a functional description at the top, as well as a leveling descriptor underneath.
And I think that, just to jump in here, that'll be really critical for folks, as you obviously saw when Guillermo was walking you through the compensation data center. You can look up all the job titles before you go in and purchase reports, but if you get into the experience and you know that you're going after an accountant job or you're looking for an accountant job, you can use the information contained in these job descriptions to confirm that you do have the correct job match before you run your report. So I think that looking at that description information on the screen will be really critical.
Yeah, it's pretty key. Obviously, we don't want to match just on job titles. If you're interested in seeing all the descriptions, you can also always just click the Show All feature, and this will open up all the job descriptions related to the jobs in your search result. So let's say I reviewed the job description and the accountant 1 is great. I can select it, and you can see that it adds it to my cart at the right. And so you can go through this process and select as many jobs as you want to add. Just remember that you need to make sure that you've purchased the credits in order to actually see those jobs in the resulting report. So once you've picked a couple jobs, I'll also point out you can browse across our jobs. The browsing option, which I'll get to into a little bit more detail later, this will really resonate the taxonomy that we have underneath our job library. So what's really important for us at Salary.com is we've spent all this time and energy organizing, creating the job descriptions, but at the same time, we've grouped our jobs into a hierarchy of family, function, and focus. And that really is outlined when you browse. You can see multiple different derivations and levels of family. Case in point, you can see that here as well when I look at specific job families and the cascading levels of that data. I can go from finance and accounting to something very specific with those results. So again, pick my accountant 1. When you pick as all the jobs that you want to select, then you click the continue button. And this will take you to a page where you can select a scope to use for your report. What's important for the reports here, the individual job reports, is that we do offer a geography, industry, and company size breakouts, but you can only select one of each of these for the report. So case in point, you can use our search bar for the geography, or you can browse through the derivations of data where we break out and show results based off of city, state, region, as well as you can get a national data point. You can also use the search bar if you're looking for specific zip code or metro data. For the sake of this discussion, I'll just click all United States and move on. So I picked a geo. Then you can go into industry. We have a nice granular breakout of different types of industries as well. For the sake of discussion, I'll just pick industries. But what's really cool is that we have an industry definition link here. And if you click this, you can actually see our definitions, how we define our breakouts. And we spent some time putting together a description of each one of these. And you can search across those as well. We organize it through sector, industry, and the most granular being sub-industry. So if you want, you can page through these results, if you have the time, or you can search through those results. So case in point, I'm looking for something comparable to my industry that would come up as SaaS, and we give you example companies of what might be that type of industry. I'll just point out that that doesn't mean that the actual results, the data that you get back contains those companies. This is just an example of the type of industry breakout. So I'll just pick all industries, but you can kind of flip through this list. As well as company size, we do break this out by FTEs, so full-time employees, as well as a revenue breakout. So I'll pick all for that. And just make sure we do have a little confirmation to make sure that you select one of each scope option: geography, industry, and company size. Click continue, and then this is just a page to confirm that you want to use those credits to buy that particular report. Go back, that's weird. I'll just pick SaaS. In some cases, you might get a warning that says we don't have data for a particular scope. You might need to go back and select an industry or a different company size, something more generic to pull those results. Then it will just say how many credits you have and if you would like to use that report. And then I click Run Report. And then you'll get back to your list of potential of all the different reports you have. So if you built a report that day, it will also say it's new. In this case, I have a list of different reports, and we have a couple different export options, as I mentioned before. I'll just pull up, a PDF example. And so we give you a breakout, a pretty robust job description, a list of competencies. This is something we've recently updated. We've definitely revitalized our list of competencies that are associated with each individual job. They are job specific. Family function focus, and some of the individual underlying data cuts. So we do provide the base 25th, 50th, 75th, as well as average, those different percentiles for total cash compensation, a national median number for salary structure, min, and max value if you're looking at different ranges, and some other relevant data points. The Excel document looks generally the same, but it kind of breaks it out in an Excel. And we give you the same sort of data. We do tab out more pertinent information. For example, if you want to look at the job information, some of the details around our job descriptions, family function, years of experience, that sort of data, that's an interesting tab. And we do have, and this really outlines our comp analyst market data product, we do have the ability to show bar charts, and if you wanted to in that product, our matched company jobs. So that generally shows you the reporting functionality. So, and that's available to SHRM members as well as non-SHRM members through their website. Now, what I'm really excited about now is to show you the free HR reports, which is exclusively available to SHRM members. So after logging in and they get this experience, you can also click on the free HR reports area. And so this will give you an access to our comp analyst market data product with 30 specific HR jobs. Users will get the same sort of experience that our comp analyst market data customers get, but specifically with those jobs in mind. You can see a list of those job titles here, as well as the focus and levels typically associated with that. You can still search for jobs using the search bar at the top, browse, but you can also see that we provide some additional functionality in our comp analyst market data product. So case in point, if I want to look at my detailed job description, I just click the display options and open up the detailed options. And here you still get education, you get experience, but you can also add and remove fields depending on your preference for search. So case in point, if I click that icon, I can actually change to show a specific base percentile on this screen if I wanted to. I can show level, education, experience, but if I wanted to add a different column, we do allow you to add things like what does that role report to? Do they manage people? Maybe you want to pull in total cash compensation. Maybe you want to see licenses and certifications on this search screen. Give you a little bit more robust functionality here. I'm going to reset this page and go back. I do want to highlight, again, the taxonomy piece. So you can see if you flip into the family, whoops, we do allow you to see the hierarchy of family information related to those human resources jobs that we give you as part of this trial. So things like human resources rolls into employee compensation and benefits, as well as specific breakouts for those families. And this really reinforces the taxonomy concept. So you can see that jobs kind of are related to one another. You can also filter by other attributes like job list. Do you want to look at just CAMD jobs, hybrid jobs, which I'll get to in a second. If you want to start matching your company jobs, that means you can actually use your own job titles in this product, as well as hot jobs or public jobs. You can deploy other filters like education breakout, or if that role manages specific individuals. I'll also point out browse, as I mentioned before, and I do highlight underneath all the other relevant job families that we have in our full subscription. So human resources is the particular family that you have access to in this instance, but you can see that we have a pretty wide variation of different families available. So I can filter, select human resources, and then see the individual breakout. We call this more of the browse operation if you want to browse specific families. I'll pick all jobs. So let's say we do the same sort of operation. I pick a specific job and I want to start drilling into the specific data points and see the actual market pricing. I'll select all jobs, and then I can pick an individual job on that list. So let's grab benefits analyst. I will point out that this design allows you to pick individual jobs, or using these checkboxes at the left, you can pick more than one job at once. But I'll show you by picking benefits analyst 1. And again, you could review the job description by clicking the details, but you get that same sort of full job description page that we had before. By clicking these little arrows here, you can actually drill in and see more detail. So if I want to look at the list of competencies that we have, if I want to change this to a bar charts view, we give you a number of different options. Where the job reports, we gave you specific percentile breakouts. Our comp analyst market data experience with these 30 HR jobs allows you to actually choose different percentiles if you wanted to use them. So case in point, maybe it's your philosophy to pay at the 65th percentile for base or the 65th percentile for total cash compensation. You can select those individual data points. I think it's also important to point out that although they don't appear on screen as the default, you can actually select other vehicles like bonus target, long-term incentive percentiles, eligibility, bonus target percentage. You can do sort of all these other sort of breakouts too. So we have a pretty wide list of available data options. And so as the default, I've picked the all cut. So all US, all industries, excuse me, all FTEs, all full-time employees. but you can also pick scopes at the right of the screen and then build, as you saw previously with the job report, build out a list of specific scopes that you might want to use. With this experience, you're not limited to the number of scopes that you can use. So if I wanted to check off and select multiple different locations, I could do that and see it all in one screen at a time. I will point out that if you're using the same scopes over and over again, it might really help you out if you want to save those scopes. So you see at the right-hand side of this modal window, we do allow you the ability to save a scope. So the case in point, if I like these specific geographies, industries, and company sizes, I'm going to use them pretty frequently. Maybe I want to save it as a scope. I'm going to call it My HQ. And we do allow you the option to use this as your default scope. What that means is, as you use the comp analyst market data experience over and over again, this will be your default option that you see every time you log in the first time. I'll keep it the way it is. And you'll see the screen now update with some other breakouts of scopes. What's really nice is as I'm using this experience and I'm saving scopes, they will show up on this list for me to use for future reference. And if you ever want to manage this list of scopes, either select these individual pencil icons, or you can select the Manage Save Scopes button here. So I intentionally selected multiple breakouts because now we can flip to the bar charts view, and this gives you a nice compare and contrast view. So if you want to compare and contrast how to benchmark your position in multiple different markets, maybe you have different talent markets that you're looking to acquire talent, or you just want to see what the variations might look like, this might be a great screen to do that compare and contrast. You can also provide adjustments on this screen. So case in point, you like this particular job, Benefits Analyst 1, but you might want to produce a premium on top of what we recommend as the pricing. You might want to populate a premium percentage here. And what's really cool is you can actually add a note if you wanted to explain why you might have applied that premium. And we do allow you to change some of the other configurations that you see on screen by clicking this Edit button here. You can change the rate. Maybe you're looking at hourly pay versus annual. If you're pulling up our total cash compensation value, maybe you want to look at what we have for target data rather than actual. And if you want to change your aging factors, probably less frequently used, but this allows you to make that adjustment as well. I didn't point out currency because in this particular trial, it's all going to be based off of US currency. But in our product, because we do support 18 different countries, that might be a different option for that experience. A little Easter egg that I do like to show our comp analyst market data users is this job focus report. So as I mentioned before, we do have three layers of family in our product. We have family, function, and focus. And we have a pretty neat little report called our job focus report, which shows you the progressions of a job or jobs within a particular focus. So in this case, I have the benefits analyst 1. Maybe I want to look at all the other jobs in this employee benefits job focus. I can click this job focus report, and I'll see a cool report breaking out what those progressions look like. This particular report typically resonates with compensation folks as they're looking at and evaluating the jobs in their organization or seeing if there are potential gaps in their families. So what you're looking at here are, from benefits analyst 1, 2, 3 to the highest level, which is an executive, what the base salary would look like and what the percent change looks like as you're moving from one level to the next. Underneath, you have a breakout and a comparison of years of experience, the degree requirement reports to, and some of the core description pieces. So this is a pretty cool report. What's neat, you can have a couple other options underneath around downloading too. So you can download this as a PDF or just get it in an Excel style data sheet. definitely recommend taking a look at this report for your organization. So I'm going to jump back to the job list where we started. And now let's think about maybe I want to price or pick up more than one job at once. And I do want to highlight the fact that you can get to the job focus report from this list as well. See any of these highlighted items here in this row. I should say column. So maybe I want to price the 3 benefits jobs, benefit analysts 1 through 3. I can select those. They'll show in my cart, and you can go through the workflow here as well. Before I get there, let's point out some cool features here. I can compare jobs, I can build a hybrid, or I can save those jobs to a list. So let's pick benefits analyst 1 and the compensation analyst 1, and I can compare those 2 jobs side by side on screen. And this is great if you're trying to find the right job to benchmark against, right? I can compare and contrast, evaluate those jobs, and make a decision about which is the better match. Again, to take advantage of our taxonomy, you can see these arrows up and down here, and this allows you to quickly flip between the different levels in a particular focus. So, hey, I'm not at the right level, it's not the right years of experience, I can click up, and it'll take me to the next highest level, and you can continue to do that within a particular focus. And if you don't like that job, you can click these little icons here, and that will remove that job from your compare list. So great little comparison page. Alternatively, and this is a pretty common practice, maybe 2 jobs are the right fit. Maybe it's a mix between those 2 positions. I've reviewed the benefit analyst 1 and a compensation analyst 1, and my position is some mix between the 2. You can then build a hybrid job. By clicking this icon, you have to have 2 jobs selected in the list. And you can see now I can build a specific job using those 2 as my components. And we don't limit the number of jobs you add to the hybrid job here. So in this case, this is a comp and benefits role, so I'm just going to call it comp and benefits, very original. I can give a job code, it's not required, just the job title is required. And you can craft a job description if you want. But what's nice is now, once you save it, it's saved to the comp analyst market data instance, your instance, and you can use it for future use in the future. You can actually see it loads it, and now it'll show as an individual job in my cart because I've selected those components. Finally, save to job list. So, you know, you're not going to get the full-fleshed power of this with the 30 HR jobs because that's a condensed list. But let's say you're using our full comp analyst market data product. You can use the save to job list functionality as a quick way to bookmark certain jobs that you're looking to benchmark over and over again. We allow you to add that to your existing list if you want to have a saved list going, or you can create a new list. Just create the name of it, and in our full comp analyst market data product, we do allow you to also make those lists private or public to other users you might have in that instance. So again, I'll pick a couple jobs. Now I'll click next scope. Again, as I mentioned, you can save those scopes so you see the ones I've picked before, or you can add new ones. I'm just going to go with the one I've created before. Click next. And now you get our multiple job report. So now you can actually see more than one job at a time. You're probably wondering, where's the job description? Don't worry, I have it right here for you. Just have to open up the little arrow and you can see more detail. We just try to consolidate some of the data on screen so you can see more information. And, you know, as you get more and more scopes, you can do the compare and contrast here. Your bar chart view is still available. This is kind of cool if you're, you know, trying to address and see where a job might fit, where's the, you know, where your pricing activity is across multiple locations. One cool feature, once you're at the multiple job report, you can choose how you're grouping this data. So when you, as a default, you're grouping it by job title, but let's say I want to group the information by scope because I've picked multiple jobs. This will switch it, so now the scope data is how you're grouping, and then you can see the individual jobs here as well. If you're interested too, you can have a view of this, just the job descriptions, and this really comes in handy if you need help or assistance finding the right benchmark job. Maybe you want to hand out a list of your job description without the market data. This might be the best view for you. I do want to point out, I think I forgot to do that at the top, but once you get to this reporting page, we do have multiple options for exporting. So we can get you a PDF, you can have an Excel version, and then we have some additional, we have a CSV version for folks who want to see just purely the data without any sort of markups, excuse me. Or you can get all that data out of the system by downloading it as a zip file. And I don't want to hesitate to mention we are a tech company, so of course we should be able to text out this market data. So what I typically do is I text this to my boss when I'm looking in market pricing jobs, or you can email it to individuals too who don't use this system. I'll point out the match to company job functionality as well. This functionality is used when you want to start incorporating your own company job information into the product, and this comes in pretty handy. All you have to do is click Match to Company Job. If you have a list, and in the trial you're more likely not going to have this list, but you can pull from an existing list of job titles. I'm going to click Match to New Company Job, and all you have to do is populate your job title. You don't need a code or a average base, but we do then incorporate that information into the interface if you do incorporate it, or include it, I should say. So case in point, this is my benefits analyst 1 match. At my organization, I call it something different. I call it benefit admin. If you don't give a job code, it will just generate one for you, but I'll make one up. And then select match. And so think of that as a way to kind of bookmark those data points. You can see right here it says matched benefit admin. So if I return to the search screen, you can actually browse or search based off of this your particular job title. You still have all the same sort of functionality that I pointed out on the single job screen. So you can adjust, you can add a note, and then some other items are in the ... So if you have, in this case, multiple jobs, you can compare multiple jobs, you can create a hybrid job from this screen, you can even save those to your job list. Awesome. So this is the multiple job report. I'll point out a couple different things that our customers find helpful. If you're looking for definitions on some of our data items here on screen, as you use them, I will point out that a legend will appear with a description of what that information is or how we derive that information, as well as some more information in our methodology documentation here. And if you want to traverse back and forth, let's say you picked a bunch of jobs, you priced them, you added and changed scopes, but let's say you want to adjust the list of jobs, maybe add a couple more. It's really easy just to use this top 1, 2, 3 icons to go back and forth between different screens. So in that example, I have the benefits 1, 2, and 3, benefits analyst 1, 2, and 3. Oh, I forgot one of my jobs. All I need to do is click the job icon here, and this will return me back to the first page that I was on, the jobs page. Same thing with scopes. If you click the scope buttons, it will take you to the scope step. So you can make adjustments. I will point out though, it's just as easy to pick scopes, whoops, sorry about that, on that page as well. So in this case, I wanted to add the compensation analyst. You've already picked your scopes. You've selected those 2 scopes. You can actually skip that step and go right back to your pricing report step. So this is kind of a quick and easy way to kind of flip between, picking jobs rather than having to go through the 1, 2, 3 workflow, especially if you've already picked the scopes ahead of time or you don't want to go through that process again. I think lastly, I do want to point out at the top here, you have 2 little tabs. You have the market data tab, which I've kind of been running through in this walkthrough, but also we have the My Scopes area. So this is another part of the product where you can manage your scopes list. So again, if you want to keep using the same scopes over and over again and you don't want to have to constantly populate them and you want to make sure that you're saving those scopes in this list, this is another place where you can manage that list. It's accessible from this Manage Save Scopes button here as well, but I can just as easily click My Scopes, and this allows you to update your scopes. Let's say you want to modify it, or you can delete them here. It also gives you a quick way to add different scope combinations. One final thing that I want to point out is we do want to incorporate a lot of the taxonomy, a lot of the knowledge in the product around how our data and our jobs are structured to the search experience. So as I mentioned before, when you do a search at the top, this is going to search against all the fields that are related. So job title, code, description, family, level, all those things. And we stack rank the results underneath based off of what you've provided. And you can also search into specific fields. So, hey, and this happens, some of our customers memorize job codes, so maybe they want to search on a job code, or look at only the job description field, or specifically they want to look at jobs that might have specific certifications or licenses. This is where you would apply that search filter capability. On top of that, at the far right here in the ... we do leverage our taxonomy by allowing you to see similar jobs. So by clicking this, our system will actually generate results in the search pane that are related to the jobs that you've selected, and probably at the same or similar levels. So case in point, let's see what happens if I click Benefits Analyst, see similar jobs. We show that like benefits analysts, we have a role like a compensation analyst that's in close proximity to that role. It may not be a perfect match, but it might be comparable. This comes in really handy when you're looking at jobs like in our full product around accountants and you want to look for other types of accountants. It's a nice and easy way to search through those results. I'm going to skip to the Browse Jobs. As I mentioned, you can filter through the families. You can look at the different level breakouts here. So again, I mentioned we had some broad levels. If you're just looking for a kind of a broad terminology around levels, that's a nice feature, and selecting these will only return those results with those specific levels. Or if you've used surveys in the past, you might consider using our detailed levels. And if you open up, you can see some more information around these types of levels. So I mentioned before, we have a leveling guide in our system, and I definitely recommend making use of this. And this explains how we determine the specific levels between support, professional management, and education. entry, we break this out into describing the years of experience, the complexity, contribution, organizational impact, as well as independence. Do they work under specific or close direction, et cetera. And so we break out these levels, and this makes it a little bit easier to determine the level of the job that you're looking for. All you have to do is click through the different tabs to see the varying breakouts. Finally, I point out, I'll go to the Save Jobs list, because I think that's the one area that I didn't reference. Also, I forgot to mention, Browse Jobs. You can also click and see your hybrid jobs here, as well as your matched company jobs in this list. So I created that comp and benefits role. You can actually see that here and select it or go directly into it, as well as select this button to see the components of that hybrid job, as well as the weighting and premiums associated with it. So I didn't want to forget, again, we do have the ability to go back and forth between, as long as you're an SHRM user, a SHRM member, you can flip between the CAMD HR jobs experience and your job report credits. We also had your upgrade your subscription, and filling out this form allows you to see, or gives us some information about you so that we can contact you and share with you our comp analyst and market data product, as well as our enterprise solution. So as I mentioned before, this allows us to show you our full product, where we have all 15,000 job titles across 225 unique industries, or if you're interested, we do have 18 countries of data. On top of that, we don't just do market data, we also have compensation management software. So if you want to manage your survey data, your employee data, and compare that against your market pricing, building salary structures, or doing some really cool analytics, definitely reach out to us through the upgrade your subscription link up here. So hopefully I think I covered everything in 45 minutes.
Guillermo,
Great.
do we have any questions?
Thanks, Chris. Yes. We actually have a lot of questions that have been asked. To everyone out there, we have a large group of people that attended this online demo, and I'm not really sure if we're going to be able to get through all the questions, but we will certainly try. Before we get into that, just want to do a friendly reminder that the demo is being recorded, and we will send an email with the link to the recording, as well as a summary of all the questions and answers. Before we go into the QA, one thing that I wanted to clarify is that, what Chris has been going over, over the past half hour or so is really, the entire breadth of the comp analyst compensation data platform. This is an enterprise level type of solution that is very robust. As part of this online demo, we wanted to show you all the capabilities that are available for those of you that decide to subscribe to the entire platform. So just wanted to clear that up, because there is a difference between the single position reports that are available to the SHRM store and having a subscription to the overall compensation data platform from salary.com. So getting into the questions, by far the two questions that were asked the most were around the cost of the job reports and what is a credit, and then where the data is coming from. So let me address the first one first. Once again, the cost of the job reports, it's $220.50 for a SHRM member and $245 for a non-member. And this is per report credit. Now, what is a credit? A credit essentially allows you to run one job report that includes scoping by industry, location, and company size. So I want to clear that up. You know, I want to make sure that everyone's clear on that. A credit allows you to run one job report that includes scoping by one industry, one location, and one company size. Okay. Just to you know, give you guys an idea as to why we think this is an excellent new opportunity for the SHRM membership and the SHRM audience. The previous single position reports that were offered through the compensation data center were $400 a piece. So we think that this is a great value that we're bringing to the SHRM audience, and you know, and we hope that you will be taking advantage of it. Another question that came up around the credits is if there's a minimum number of credits that need to be bought. There isn't. You know, the SHRM store allows you to buy as many credits as you need. Obviously, you know, at some point you may want to, you know, if you find yourself buying, you know, a whole lot of credit reports, you know, you may want to consider upgrading to the full platform that Salary.com offers, because then at that point it's more advantageous to you from a cost perspective. The other question that I want to address is in regards to those of you that are already subscribed to Salary.com. Well, you know, this offering really, you know, has no consequence to you, because you know, you have full access to your subscriptions through Salary.com, so there really isn't any need for you to do any report purchases through the SHRM store. So, you know, obviously we'll address that in more detail in the email that we're sending to you, because there have been a lot of questions that have come through regarding the cost of these job report credits. So I'll definitely make sure that we cover that in detail for you. So going to the next question, Chris and Sarah, that was asked the most, it's in regards to the data. Can you please cover again where your data is coming from? You know, some people were asking about, you know, for example, is it, you know, who are the companies that are included? Is it self-reported? Is it coming from employers, or is it coming from employees? So if you could go into that a little bit, you know, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Sure. I'll give Chris the opportunity to rest his voice a little bit here after talking for 45 minutes. So this is Sarah from the Salary.com team to answer a couple of the questions about the data that's come up. So just to talk about our methodology to review, so we purchased hundreds of commercially available compensation surveys. All of those surveys are HR reported market data. Those are the traditional salary surveys that your organization might fill out. You might submit your data to those. So we're basically going out to market and buying the ones that are commercially available. A couple of folks had asked about specific survey vendors that we buy data from. Unfortunately, our agreements with those organizations do not allow us to specifically name them. However, I'm sure if we did, you'd be familiar with many of their names. So we go out to market, we buy hundreds of these HR reported salary surveys. We then aggregate all of those together. So imagine that it's kind of like a survey of surveys in our database. And beyond just sort of putting together all of the data points, we're actually using machine learning to fill in some of the survey gaps. Chris mentioned the example that, you know, there aren't any subway drivers in North Dakota, for example, today, but because of all of the information we know about how prices for subway drivers relate to other jobs and for prices in North Dakota and how those relate to other regions, we can potentially predict some of those prices even for jobs that don't necessarily exist in a traditional salary survey. So to sort of recap out, HR reported market data, it does come based out of surveys, but you can consider our product sort of a survey of commercially available surveys in the market. And then Guillermo, I saw that we had a couple of questions about, you know, can you see the different participants in the surveys, or can you see the number of participants in a specific survey or in a specific job? So you can't see the names of participants in the surveys, again, because of our agreements with those organizations, but we do allow you to see some of the data around the number of organizations participating in a specific cut, or the number of incumbents that survey data that's underlying is covering. So if you are interested in looking at some of the jobs or some of the scopes as you run the reports, you can see that information on orgs and inks, those are called in our product. And then just to sort of reiterate, none of it is employee reported data. It's not crowdsourced data. It's all going to be your HR reported market data, which we, really believe is the most accurate here for compensation HR professionals to use.
And I just showed you on screen how to do that. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Click this little icon down here when you're on the reports page, and you can actually select orgs, organizations, or incs, incumbents, if you're looking for that underlying data. And it will display here on screen.
Okay. One other question, Chris, and for this one, I think it would be helpful if you can switch over to the job report credits area. This one's around the ability to search a position by industry and or credentials. So if you could show, the scoping capabilities that are available here for the report.
Sure. So typically, information like that can be part of our family descriptors. So if you break out, you can see some of our taxonomy families, and this kind of will highlight an example that I have, audit. Audit might appear in many different industries or families, et cetera. So it could be in banking, customer support, finance and accounting, IT, different breakouts, families, or industries are kind of reflected in our taxonomy. This is one sort of approach if you're interested in kind of filtering through those results. I definitely recommend, before even conducting a search, filtering through the job families to find results. That's one easy way. Another breakout would be if you want to explicitly type in a keyword here, I don't know, audit, you can look for jobs where, like I said, using our search methodology, we'll search across job title, code, descriptions, families, levels, focus, all that information to try to serve up the most meaningful match. But I definitely, if you're interested in finding jobs in a specific industry or in, a specific family, I definitely recommend using the filtering in family. At the same time, based off of the nature of our data, you'll also be doing that sort of at the scoping step. So once you've picked a job, like an accountant, you can go and I'll pick top audit executive. You can find and look through the breakouts at the scoping step as well. So, and you can use the specific industry definition here to find those jobs. I find this to be incredibly helpful if you have a specific industry in mind. You picked a job title that might cross multiple industries. Here, this is where you want to look at the scope related to that data. You might look for, I don't know, aerospace. Oh, of course, that's the first one on the list. Duh. But if you had something in mind and that search term might appear in the name of our industry or in the description, that's one way to do it. And what's really cool too is, we have that 3 layers of granularity here in the industry, from most generic to very specific. You can kind of look through those breakouts here. I also, and again, it's pretty time consuming because there are many pages of information, but you could page through the results too if you wanted to kind of get an idea of what kind of coverage we have. Again, 225 different unique industry and location breakouts.
And then I saw, Guillermo, that there was a question about, industry-specific jobs. You have to pick the industry that you're interested in before you search for the job. So just to confirm with folks on the phone, our product, the 3-step market pricing process, focuses on the job first. So you'll find even unique industry-specific roles like nurses in that initial job list. You can then come in and select your actual industry, so you can get more granular than just healthcare. Maybe you're a health system, hospital. You can pick those things. There's one thing to note, which is that if you pick a very industry-specific job and then you pick an industry that it wouldn't necessarily exist in, I think the classic one that we reference is like a dentist in the entertainment industry. You're not necessarily going to be able to get a data result for that. But obviously, if you're picking a nurse in a hospital or a hospital system, that's going to allow you to scope down your data and see really relevant pricing information for your organization. So keep that in mind. All of those jobs are up in the first step, followed by your scopes, which are industry, location, and company size.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Well, folks, we're at the top of the hour here, and we had allotted an hour for this online demo. Once again, the demo has been recorded, and we will be sending out a link to the demo as well as a summary of all the QAs. And there were a lot of questions. Just to give you guys an idea, there were about 90 questions that came in. Obviously, we didn't get to all of them, but we will be answering those and providing summary to you that will be sent by email. Once again, thank you for joining us, and Sarah and Chris, thank you very much for participating, and speak to you guys soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks.